100 days into Trump's second term in office, the White House had proudly trumped its 100 days of winning, with 100 photos posted on social media to recognize his efforts in putting his America first, and noted the administration is only getting started. Yet reality bites, as a Reuters Ipsos poll released on April 29th shows Trump's economic approval crashed to 36%, a record low in his current term or in his 2017-2021 presidency, while disapproval rate rose 5 points to 56%. In just 100 days into his service, why has Trump faced such fierce backlash? What has he actually lost in the White House for the first 100 days? When Trump first took office to cope with $36 trillion in federal debt, what he tried to do was increase revenue while reducing costs. On one hand, he launched the Trump Gold Card program, offering millionaires a fast-track path to US citizenship for $5 million each, an attempt deemed to legally tap into the pockets of the rich.
And what he suggested with his gold card was that you don't have to pay tax on your global income, you'll only have to pay tax on your American income, which is great. But Congress might say, nah, that's not what's going to happen at all. Under current law, Congress has passed a law that says anybody who is an American citizen or a permanent resident of America pays tax on their global income. Donald Trump does not have the power to create an immigration status. He cannot, without Congress approval, give them any tax incentives to come. So I can't see how this will change the status of the deficit. It just seemed to be like an ill-thought-out, very ill-conceived idea to me.
On the other hand, despite the crushing national debt, his previous promise of tax cuts has not yet materialized for 95 million American middle-class households. Meanwhile, Trump appointed Elon Musk to head the Department of Government Efficiency, swinging the axe at agencies like US Agency for International Development, which previously ran with an annual budget of $50 billion, the Department of Education, and the Social Security Administration, and pulling out of international organizations like WHO, all done in its rhetoric to cut costs.
And I think that with the United States kind of just pulling the rug out from under a lot of these organizations, they're not going to trust us anymore. And to be able to put this much power into the hands of one person who is circumventing the balance of powers, the checks and balances of the American government, it's going to be a very long 4 years.
Moving to the trade game. The US rolled out reciprocal tariffs on imports from multiple nations, including Canada, Mexico, the EU, India, and China. The policy calculates tariffs based on perceived trade barriers imposed by each country, a move Trump claims will end unfair treatment of the US, with tariffs against China skyrocketing to 245%. These tariffs were sold to Americans that they would bring manufacturing jobs back to the country.
What's going on now is just Trump's ignorant interpretation of the American economy and what the trends are in the American economy. And unfortunately, his advisors don't seem to be any good. What I'm saying is there's a lot of bad thinking going on here. And as a result, a lot of real problems are being glossed over and being substituted for by these trade wars. You know, there was a famous Italian political theorist named Machiavelli. Machiavelli had a great point in saying, well, the best way to divert attention away from your domestic problems is to start a war. And a trade war is a kind of war. So we're going to war now. So all Trump has done is shaken up the world economy, created a great deal of uncertainty, disturbed capital markets. He's threatened the credibility of the American dollar and a whole world trading system built on it.
The more that Trump is viewed around the world as really carrying a hammer and being willing to use it every time, every place, there is definitely a risk that the U.S. at minimum is alienated from some of its allies, and perhaps even worse, begins to see those allies and really the global South especially begin to turn their attention to other countries, believing that there's much more stability and much more optimism and a much more open hand of friendship waiting for them in comparison to the sort of bullying nature that often is exhibited by Donald Trump.
To quote himself back in 2021, Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam. He doesn't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. However, the Trump administration within the 100 days has just reversed Washington's tone on cryptocurrency, making good on many of his promises to the industry in a blitz of executive orders and regulatory shakeups. Mounting evidence suggests crypto capital has deeply infiltrated his political game.
So there are a lot of voters to capture by saying, I am going to deregulate Bitcoin. I am going to encourage you to use Bitcoin. When he was inaugurated, he destroyed it. He actually killed the regulatory body for Bitcoin. And what that means is, if we go back in history to all of the global catastrophes, all of the major global crises in the world's economy are all caused by America deregulating. Now that is a lesson they haven't learned. So I would say that this is possibly the most dangerous thing that he's done. But what it will do, absolutely certain what it will do, is it will enrich some people. And I view it as the people who are going to get rich are going to be the people who are in his inside team.
Not to mention that the Trump family took over a crypto firm named World Liberty Financial, which has raised more than $500 million. To this date, the family was believed to have grabbed the lion's share of those funds. The 100-day carnival may be ending, but the world already senses the gathering storm. Under Trump's administration, uncertainty looms over what the coming days will bring. As observers tracking his policies and their ripple effects, how would you assess these first 100 days?